Jet Ranger 2 live over downtown Portland tonight. Hundreds of people are gathered in the South Park blocks near Portland State University. They gathered there after a march from Pioneer Courthouse Square. They're raising their voices in protest over the shooting of Aaron Campbell, an unarmed black man, by a Portland police officer. Good evening. Thanks for being with us, everybody. That protest march and rally is our top story tonight.
K2's Anita Cassay is live at the protest. And Anita, there have been protests outside City Hall, an appearance by civil rights leader Jesse Jackson to condemn the shooting, and a likely FBI investigation. So these protesters are adding another message.
They do have another message. They're in fact calling themselves the Everyday People's Movement. You can see the rally tonight is beginning to wrap up. A few folks still here tonight. They say they're not just rallying in honor of Aaron Campbell, but they are rallying for reform to state law that they believe will prevent future officer-involved shootings and deaths.
It's about people! It's about people!
Started at Pioneer Courthouse Square, then marched up Broadway, stopping downtown traffic. They were led by Campbell's family and escorted by police. Organizers told us this is not an anti-police rally, although some of the signs were not very supportive either. They say this is a call to action. They plan to start lobbying state lawmakers, pushing to change law that they believe will build the trust of police again. Attorney General John Kroger just spoke about that very issue, about the inquiry into the civil rights violations just a few minutes ago. He says that we cannot have endless series of deadly shootings in this community, and this is the reason why.
And the reason we can't have them is very simple. If there's not a huge bond of trust between the law enforcement community and the public, then we're in real trouble.
That's right. Put some support in the law that will guide and inform training so that when the policeman is on the street, a woman, they can count on having sound policies in place to do their job.
Now, a lot of people believe that this is a race issue, an African-American thing, but I can tell you by the crowd today that is absolutely not the case. We saw people from many, many different communities. Now, this group also plans to push for reforms to state laws that deal with the shielding of officers from criminal prosecution in cases like this. They want to see that law revoked. They're also going to be pushing for better training and better recruitment as well. Live at PSU, Anita Cassay, K2 News.
Anita, thank you very much. We can also tell you that federal authorities are getting involved with the Aaron Campbell case now. The FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office have announced a preliminary civil rights investigation. Agents will gather information over the next 3 weeks, and if the evidence warrants, the Civil Rights Department will take over. Police Commissioner Dan Smalsman says he thinks the investigation is necessary, but he doubts it will show any abuses.
Portland police are now trying to make a point of how situations can escalate in an instant.
K2's Dan Tilken and other journalists were invited to see the training scenarios that officers go through, and they make split-second life and death decisions. No question, Dan.
Right, and something the police said today and something the chief said earlier this week is they wish the public and city leaders would talk about use of force policies and what people think police are doing wrong beyond when there's an emotional event like the Aaron Campbell shooting.
Put that gun down, sir. Hey, I'm a business owner. This is my place. I own this place. I just came in to check out what's going on.
I'm a police officer.
Okay.
Put the gun down, sir.
All right. Put it down, sir. I'll put it down. Don't shoot me. Don't shoot me. I'll put it down.
When deciding to use deadly force, officers must consider the severity of the crime and the extent the subject poses an immediate threat to the safety of others. But that decision often must be made in an instant.
So factors in these events are so numerous and so variable that we cannot write. Nobody in law enforcement in the United States can write a rule, a simple rule, that addresses them all in advance.
The U.S. Supreme Court says an officer's actions cannot be judged in hindsight. They must be judged considering the circumstances at the moment he pulled the trigger. Now, Portland has added an extra layer to its use of force policy beyond what the Supreme Court requires. We're working on that part of the story for 6 o'clock, and we'll have it for you then.
And even after you go through all that training, it's a whole different deal once you get out there in real life.
Happens like that.
Yeah, thank you, Dan, very much.
Stay with K2 News for continuing coverage of the Aaron Campbell shooting investigation. On our website, KATU.com, you can also read the grand jury testimony given by officers and witnesses in the case.